What is good, guys? This is Black Soul with Bonus Round Gaming. I got another review for you. Star Wars Battlefront. We finally got a chance to play it. Now, I'm going to be honest with you guys. We did play the open beta, and we weren't really impressed with the game. I mean, this was a stupid, overly hyped game that everybody was waiting on, and for us, it just fell flat on its face. I mean, to be super real with you guys. Alright, so here's the thing. We played the game, and initially, we thought it was amazing. It looked really pretty, and in the first 5 minutes, I mean, the fights were awesome, and then we sat for about 10 minutes and then 20 minutes and 30 minutes, and that kind of just started to flatline. So why didn't we like the game?
You will know the power of the dark side.
First off, Battlefront does one thing very well. It caters very hard to casual gamers. And I'm not a casual gamer. Neither is Genesis. It's really just a run and gun type thing. You know, that's all you do in Battlefront. You run around, shoot your blasters, and I mean, if you're 10 years old, that's probably fun for you. But I feel like, you know, they were trying to cater to this casual audience, or maybe they were trying to do something similar to the original Battlefront. But my thing is this, alright? Your original fan base is a lot older than they were back then when the first few games came out, and you can't do the same thing. I mean, you have so many games that are out now that are so much more advanced, so much more innovative, so much more intuitive, just more complex, and then you come out with this. So why didn't I like the game? Too casual, lack of the lack of substance there. You know, it doesn't do a lot, and one of the things that the really big annoying things that I have about this game is that the attachment system, or the secondary weapon system, they have this thing called cards where you have to unlock them with your points, and you basically run around with your cards, and that's how you have your secondary weapons or your attachments and things like that. And I would have loved to see them do something a little bit closer to what they did with Battlefield. I know that they said that this wasn't going to be the same game, which is fine, but it's still a war game. I mean, this is a massive war game. You know, you have aerial assault, you have foot soldiers. At its heart, at its core, it's still a game about fighting and shooting. So they could have done something, you know, to the same or similar to what Battlefield was. I think that they tried too hard to get away from that. So let's go over some of the game modes in the game, which I also think is one of the problems. So they have Fire Squadron, which is basically your aerial assault. There's Supremacy, which is basically like domination if you play Battlefield before. And yes, I'm comparing the game to Battlefield. It's made by the same developer, so it's the easiest thing to do. Droid Run is like a 6-on-6 team battle where you fight for control over some droids or something like that. I didn't really play that one too much. Walker Assault, excuse me, is probably one of their biggest game modes that I actually remember playing. I think it's a 40 player battle or something like that, and it just fails to deliver whatever it is they're trying to give us. I mean, it reminds me of the big games that they had in Battlefield. I keep mixing the two up, but it just feels like it's lacking something. I don't know. I can't even really put my finger on it. But one of the things that was really annoying, especially in the beta, was how one-sided the actual game mode was. So Rebels almost never won. In fact, I don't even remember once where they actually got close to winning. And since the game's been out, since the beta's been out, I don't know if there ever was a time where the Rebels actually won that match. So, yeah. Blast is your basic team deathmatch. Then you have Drop Zone, which is probably my most annoying game mode in this entire freaking game. So basically there's these pods that drop, and your job is to capture them. If you capture them, you get these power-ups and things like that as a reward for capping them. The problem is, though, if the other team caps like 2 of them, because I think it's only to 3, but if they cap like 2 of them, there's not enough time for you to come back. So if they cap 2, you might as well just give up. And I didn't really see if they increased the time limit for it in the actual full game release. This is more so from the beta, is what I recognize. I did play the game for a little bit. I rented it from Redbox for like 2 or 3 days to kind of go back and play it a little bit more. And I didn't really feel like the time was longer. So, but I noticed that in the beta, once the other team gets 2 pods, that's it. You're done. You might as well give up. There's no real way to come back from that. One of my favorite game modes, though, was Heroes and Villains. Freaking amazing. It basically pits 3 heroes, 3 villains, along with some team members against each other. And the first to knock out or take down all 3 heroes or villains wins the game. That was probably my most fun game mode, and I think it's probably because it involves a little bit of tactfulness. You have to be you have to kind of plan out your attack. I mean, you can't just run and gun, and if you're the heroes or the villains, you kind of got to be careful, because if you get taken out, that's it. The game's over. I started at one match, and they freaking ripped the other team a new one. And it was over in like 20 seconds. So you have to really kind of be careful, plan out how you're going to attack, and just watch each other's backs. So that was probably the most fun game mode out of the entire game that I actually got a chance to play. Another good one was Hero Hunt. And so that's basically like a 7, well, I think it's a 7-on-1, so a total of 8 people game mode. There's 1 hero or villain, and the other 7 individuals have to hunt this person down. That one was pretty fun as well. So those are the only 2 game modes, though. Aside from that, I feel like all the other game modes really just, they try too hard to cater to such a casual audience, and I kind of feel what they were trying to do. They were trying to bring in more players by allowing people who generally don't play the game to come in, and then also kids come in and play the game. But what about those hardcore players? I mean, we make up the largest portion of your player base, and they fail to cater to us. So. But I did want to say this, though. Kudos to EA. They did release a statement to acknowledge the fact that Battlefront was actually lacking a lot of depth for more hardcore gamers. So I think that actually shows some promise for the series. I don't think that this is going to be the first and last Battlefront that we'll see. I'm pretty sure that they're going to come out with another one. So hopefully they do a little bit more for us hardcore gamers. They incorporate a little bit more of a mix, so they can get different kinds of players. So I think there's a little bit of promise still there for Battlefront, and I'm actually hopeful to see what comes in the future. The game's beautiful. It's very fluid. I didn't have a lot of issues with glitches and things like that. I think loading times could be shortened a little bit, and I'd also like the ability to search for my own server. That was something that they had in Battlefield, and I think they should bring it back. The ability to kind of go through and manually get on a server that you want to play on is something that they should definitely consider. I know that a lot of the hardcore players would enjoy something like that. And the only other thing I would say they really need to change, well, 2 other things actually. I like to see them change the control mechanics a little bit. Go to more like a shooter-esque style. I mean, of course, this is a shooter, but it feels more like I said, like a run and gun, almost like an arcade type feel. But if they had something more like Call of Duty or even Battlefield where you can go prone and things like that, I think that would do well for this series. And then also, one of the things I think they should add is more customization for your weapons and your actual characters. I mean, being able to change their skin and their faces and things like that is cool, but being able to really get in and dive in deep and change the attachments to your gun, different things like that. Like Call of Duty does a really good job of that, and I'm not a big fan of Call of Duty at all, so I don't think that I'm just riding their coattails or on their jock or whatever. But I think that something like that, adding some things like that into the mix for this game would be a really nice, refreshing change, especially for a lot of the hardcore players. That goes into how they approach different maps or game types, being able to change out their weapons, their attachments, and how those weapons function, and things like that. So they definitely need to look into doing that. Other than that, I would say that that's pretty much all I can think of. Well, you know what? I take that back. The game modes. They should come up with some more hardcore type game modes to get hardcore gamers to actually keep coming back and playing the game a little bit more. The game modes that they have now are fine. They're the standard average game modes that you find in any shooter. But they could have added some more things, kind of like a search and destroy type thing. or a small man squad where you get eliminated if you get killed, things like that. No respawns. So that's it. Battlefront for us, I mean, it just didn't sit well. It didn't impress us at all. So Battlefront gets a 3 out of 5. Let us know what you think of the game. Let us know if you picked it up. Let us know if you're still playing it. What complaints that you have about the game. We'd love to hear it. Get a little discussion going in the comment section below. That's it. My name is Black Soul. Peace until next time.